Welcome to the Sketch Zone podcast.
Jack Kasperzak. Hello, my friend.
Hey, I'm Jack. I'm back. I'm the intro stealer. I'm the punches dealer because Tyrus ain't here.
I usually get job leads too, but it usually has something to do with a weed whacker or some dishes.
I design Microsoft Excel.
Excel?
Did she say she designed?
Yeah,
She said Excel. She just said that.
We were busting on Photoshop Pro last week in Windsor, so we got Excel. We got Excel as the actual market. So we got explain this.
What other kind of software do you use? Quicken.
Did Charlie say Quicken? The funniest thing you ever said. I'm literally asking you a question. You know what, Charlie? You know what it is? You know what it is? You're emotional. That's what it is. You're emotional. You can't hear me talk. You're emotional. You can't hear me. I'll let you be wrong. I don't mind. I'm nice like that. I'm nice like that, Charlie.
Okay.
You all right?
I just think we should bring it in. I can't stand anyone on this podcast. And we're back in this sad, solemn occasion.
Really?
The only thing that makes sense in this world is the fact that Sketch Zone is back, and this week we have Ara Kermanikian.
Yeah. Glad you bounced back out of that. So proud of you.
Man, you were pretty close to the ledge there.
Yeah. You walked yourself back.
Welcome,
job.
Ara.
Hello.
And
Hey,
for
man.
Ara, we have a special welcome message.
Welcome to my latest experiment. This is a big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
Nice.
1.21 gigawatts!
Gigawatts!
Hey, kid, come $100, will you, and help save the clock tower? Sorry, no. Come on, kid. That's an important historical landmark. Look, some other time. Lightning struck that thing 60 years ago. Wait a minute. Cubs win World Series. Against Miami? Yeah, it's something, huh? Who would have thought? 100 to 1 shot. I wish I could go back to the beginning of the season, put some money on the Cubs. I just meant Miami. What did you just say? I said I wish I could go back to the beginning of the season, put some money on the Cubbies.
So yeah, let's not do that because the Cubs have officially been eliminated from the MLDS, from the playoffs.
Okay, come on.
So don't go out there and spend your money. Instead, let's go ahead and welcome Charlie B. Williams III.
Hello, everyone. I'm back. Got a new set of eyeglasses. I'm feeling good about myself. Resident Pinterest advisors here.
Nice.
Thank you.
Like
you.
Like
I'm sure DaCosta is right now listening. Pinning most of my stuff that I've pinned this past week. But enough about me. Let's move on. Shout out to DaCosta.
And we have Jack Kasperzak.
Yes, I am back. After
Jack.
vacation, I'm feeling good. Let's do this.
Jack has all
And
type of sun, good color in his skin.
I know. Look at him. He's off-white now.
Kind of looks like me.
Well, we gotta have some more color on the panel.
There it is. Speaking of color,
Yes.
I thought Carlos was gonna pick it up from there and introduce the next person. He didn't do it. Oh, I think he's.
Frozen!
Oh.
Yes!
This has never happened.
We've never had our host freeze.
Uh-oh.
All right, introducing Steve Tolkowski.
I don't even know if we're really still live.
It says live here.
That could be the frozen state, because he's running everything.
So,
Dude, his Cubs.
No,
won tonight.
It's so funny. I'm actually able to click on your names to
We're still live.
see who shows up.
It's streaming.
let's see if
man.
he's. I'm gonna actually ask my face if he's frozen. Let's see.
It's so funny.
There it is. And he went black.
Technical
All right,
difficulties.
difficulties. I just don't know. I just wonder how that works. So I wonder who did it make? Jack, do you have full control?
I do, I think.
I think we have control. We can keep going. We're live.
He just signed off, so he'll probably jump back on. I just saw him go away.
Yeah.
Cool.
So anyway, joining us again.
Yeah.
Joining us again is Steve Telkowski.
Yeah.
Do I get like an official most guest
so.
thing?
I think so. You're gonna have to.
You're in the running, but DaCosta's been
We
doing.
might have to add you and/or DaCosta into the theme song.
Because DaCosta was he's been kind of stalking for a couple weeks. You gotta catch up a little bit. You know.
I don't know if we can have Steve on anymore because every time he shows
breaks
up,
the internet.
Something happens. My whole computer just decided to take the day off.
Calling them a Kardashian or something.
Maybe the Cubs broke. Maybe your Cubs broke it.
The Cubs broke my heart, is what they broke.
What are you looking at, butthead?
Oh man!
I hope you got 1.21 gigawatts on
I hope so. You need more power.
Generate that kind of power. It can't be done.
Oh, still no.
No.
You're holding out.
No, actually, I might not have it.
Oh.
I might not have it.
We might need more power.
We might need more power. So yeah, welcome everyone. I did want to talk about my sadness of the Cubs getting.
You really
getting.
Don't do it again.
You're really gonna bring it back up?
No. I'm not going to. I want to talk about something else that makes me sad. You know what makes me sad?
What makes you sad?
Star Wars: The Force Awakens trailer. You know why?
Why?
Because at first we had Lando Calrissian. Second, now we have Finn. And everyone knows that we're only allowed 3 black people in any movie or show. That means if we have one more black person, someone's gonna die.
Because I saw random posts and I was mad at that random person because he wasn't on my list. And they used that word "die," so I'm just gonna walk away. In my hypeness, I was reading stuff. I wasn't reading anything on any website or anything, but it was on Facebook, and I was so hyped. And someone says, and I was like, and then you know how you start theory crafting. You're like, and I wanted to be like, fuck you, because it made sense, and then I was like. Oh, it kind of messed me up, but I'm really excited because I could be wrong, right? But I was like, why do people do that?
Was that the theory where they're trying to say that Finn was Lando?
No, it wasn't that one.
Because there's only one black guy in the Star Wars universe?
Right.
At any given planet, there's only one.
Wait,
so far, we haven't seen anything else. So we could. No. They said another character, but I don't believe them. But then I watched the trailer like 15 times, and there were a couple people crying and stuff, and I was like, but I'm so excited for it still because that last 5-second clip with old boy standing there like. Holding the saber, like let's go, like oh! Yeah. I got excited because he wasn't even holding it cool. He was scared to death, which is okay. He wasn't even holding it like a badass, but I was like, he's a raw talent. Should be good. There's a chalk it up to. So,
Ara, did you see the trailer?
Yeah, I was teaching a class, and then when I gave the students a break, that my TA said, "Oh, the new Star Wars trailer's up," so we put it up on the big projector and started watching it. And so we watched it a couple of times. It was really cool. Everybody was kind of excited about it. But a lot of these kids haven't seen the original Star Wars movies, so some of them were. Yeah, I know, right?
Just slap them all.
I know. They're like, "Oh wow, this is really cool. What is this?" I'm like,
I get
so.
What's the matter with those kids?
It's your kids. Something's got to be done about your kids.
Yes. So,
These sound bites
yeah,
are
I mean,
amazing this week.
so this is going to be Star Wars for all these folks that have no idea what Star Wars is. Like, this is going to be their intro to the whole universe.
Not even that
So,
old, and this shouldn't be their intro, but still, okay. I've stopped class. I've
Yeah.
stopped class and ostracized 2 students. Last time I heard they didn't know what Star Wars was. I mean, what do you mean you don't know what Star Wars was? And I just realized I couldn't put my hands on people. But
Yeah.
at the same time, he had to educate them.
Attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.
Oh, stop.
So let's not forget that we all freaked out at Phantom Menace trailer as well.
That's true.
And it was to happen, but I think that with this movie, we're like, it can't be any worse than the first 3. So.
No.
However, I will argue.
I have it higher than Phantom Menace.
I will argue that Disney has its hands on this, and love it or not, Disney's been dealing fire lately.
Yeah. I just like JJ. I've liked him for a long time now. And Phantom Menace was cool. Anybody know what year that was? Don't remember anymore.
99?
99, yeah.
Yeah, I was just going into school back then, so I was excited. But this one?
Yes.
Oh, you might get an Emmy for your sound work this week. You totally messed up my train of thought.
We were going back in time,
But
so
it's-
I wanted to.
Exactly, it was good. No, but like, so this one I'm really excited for, only because I really like the director. But I'm not a big fan of them changing directors up each movie though. But whatever, I'll take it where I can get it.
But here's the thing, though. You know, it's when we first saw Star Wars. For me, it was a big change from like movies before Star Wars, all sci-fi movies before Star Wars, and then after, right? Like it definitely made a huge, gigantic leap.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was the same for you guys as well, but like I saw it when it came out in the theater, and it was like a whole new day after that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this one's going to have that same effect for people, especially for kids that have not seen it yet. So
I don't think so. I think it'd just be a quintessential like movie for all those students or kids that want to do that or want to make movies or want to be creative. It'll be that kind of quintessential movie, a little bit. But for most of America and the world, it'll just be a harken back to like, that feeling you get when Carlos plays one of those sound bites. Like it'll just be a good feeling of watching the movie, taking your kids. I mean, because Star Wars for me when I was younger though, I was kind of really young when the first ones came out, so I was in the area of all the toys and the Ewoks and all that good stuff. So I remember the toys and stuff, But I do remember watching the movies, but they didn't really resonate like they do until probably like high school.
Yeah.
Which is early 90s.
So we always talk about going to school and creating a network of friends and all that good stuff. And then what we do is we grow up and we go out into the real world and we continue to network. And LinkedIn is one of those really good network building tools.
Right.
And I noticed that people are always endorsing other people for different things, and so I guess this setup is for me to apologize to all of my LinkedIn friends for not endorsing you on things. But if you're expecting your success, the success of your career is based on whether or not I click a yes, don't count on mine, because that's not good.
Now, to be fair to you, Carlos,
yes,
if you've directly worked with that person and you can endorse that skill set that they've done, technically. It's not a free-for-all that, you do when you first sign up, technically, but obviously, LinkedIn has it set up to where people, they ask you every 5 seconds. But so I tend to only endorse people, that I've worked with and I know the work that they do. even if they're one of my buddies, you know, unless I've, you know, can see some of their work that they've done and know that it's good, I feel like because it shows who you kind of endorse and how much you've endorsed. If you see you endorsing people all the time, and those power users that use LinkedIn, I don't really want to look like that dude that's just, you know, using LinkedIn and Pinterest. You know?
Good at Pinterest.
Yeah.
Yeah. You like that? Like I did that?
And LinkedIn has been getting in trouble for not using people's information correctly.
Yeah, they had a little lawsuit thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because I got an email from them.
Wait a minute. Can I ask you guys a question? Like, you're a hiring manager, right? You're going to hire somebody based on who endorsed that person on LinkedIn.
No, you're not.
You know, like, that is really... It was like the dumbest thing. I feel like it was LinkedIn's way of getting people to come back on their website. Because, like, most people don't start a new job except for, like, every 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But so they're like, oh, let's get people on. It's like it's like their equivalent of, like, liking stuff.
Yeah, or not even liking stuff, because you can actually like. It's the equivalent of poking someone.
Poking someone,
Yeah, kind of.
I've only did it with the people I've worked with, and then don't ever do it again. But you can always tell, especially in the game industry, you can always tell when there was a layoff that happens, which technically this is October. Yeah. Wait about another couple weeks. November to December is the volatile time in the game industry where they start laying people off. Your LinkedIn blows up. Right
before the holidays.
Seriously, right before every time I've been laid off, it's been either between September and December, right? And it's the suckiest time, right? Because of the holidays. But if you come home one night and you got 50 LinkedIn emails, something just happened. It happens every time. It happens every time because, like Jack says, Jack is not looking at his LinkedIn. Or maybe he looked at his LinkedIn before he went on his trip because he's in transition. He didn't get laid off, but he's in transition. Maybe he took a look at it, but if you're working, you don't look at that LinkedIn until most people don't look at it until they're like, you know, at home the next day. It's just, at least that's how the game industry was, you know, because I used to get all type of like, can you endorse me? Can you write a comment? Like, what's the other thing called? Not comment, it's recommendation. You know, a little recommendation, which I've had companies.
Those are more legit.
Yeah, but I've had companies where they tell their current employees, even if it was a layoff based off of workforce or like projects being canceled, that they're not allowed to comment on people that have been laid off in terms of giving them an endorsement or whatever it's called, recommendation. It's been really crazy, but like people really use it, but you know, whatever.
That was funny. Charlie just unloaded all this knowledge, and he ends it with, "Yeah, but whatever."
It's LinkedIn.
It's like, no, that's legit stuff that you just dropped on us, and you're like
dropping that. No, the tail end part of that with the companies like stopping people from writing a nice recommendation. You know, I think that was a real bogus thing that the company I know of that used to do. But yeah, everything else, LinkedIn has been great because I just call it the living resume, right? You know, it's like a good spot to link back to on your website and, you know, have that resume going.
So have you gotten any jobs off of LinkedIn, Charlie?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Right before this last job, I got emailed from one of the other production visual effects motion companies here in the city, one of the big ones, because of my Unreal work and them saying that I had like experience with Unreal. Like they emailed me through that because one of the creative directors is on my contact list through other friends that I've met them one time or another. Yeah, so it can work if you build that network up correctly, you know.
Oh man.
And some legit recruiters use it.
If you endorse properly, it'll work for you.
Yes. No. If you not endorse, if you connect properly by going out and meeting folk, don't be hitting that endorse button, Carlos. Too much.
I'm like, does Charlie know about SQL databases? Endorse.
Yes.
Dude, I've had calls. I've had people call my phone, like those sucky recruiters. Carlos knows about these sucky recruiters. Yeah. And they'll start talking to me about programming, and they'll say they got me through LinkedIn. I'm like, wait a minute, back up. Do you see programming anywhere on my resume? And then they try to hurry up a conversation, get off the phone. Okay, I'm sorry. No, like, how did you get my number? Like, why are you calling me off LinkedIn? Like, I don't know anything about C++ programming. Why are you calling me? Oh, I'm saying, well, no, I'm not gonna do the voice, but whatever, whatever. It's just like ridiculous sometimes. But yeah, it can work out.
DaCosta said, Charlie's cleaning them glasses like he's getting paid.
I like that. Actually, DaCosta, I am. This is he hating. See, he's hating from even afar. He loves these guys.
Do we need to take a commercial break for whatever brand those are?
You want? Yeah, these are Dolce and Gabbanas.
Okay.
So, yeah. So
go ahead, get paid.
And now from our sponsor.
Yeah. As Charlie throws cash at the webcam. But if I could, one person that I would endorse is last week's winner, Joe Darkbug.
Damn.
Yeah, Joe is
a badass.
He's kind of a badass. So what happened was,
story time.
Joe won. Oh, hang on, I got that.
Play the song. Boom, boom.
So last week, Joe won the Wacom Intuos comic tablet that DaCosta was giving away.
Congrats.
So we were all ready, and we were about to ship it out to him and everything. And at the end of the show, I'd mentioned this 10-year-old artist who is just drawing with a mouse on her computer, and she's got really cute things that are happening. Mm-hmm. Well, Joe said, he replied to DaCosta and said, I already have a professional level tablet. Why don't you give it to that 10-year-old artist?
Wait,
so she can,
what?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Give that guy.
That's not a punchline. That's like a... Hey, guys, here you go.
Yo,
Joe Darkbug.
Yo, wait a minute. There it is. Jack's still thinking about, like, palm trees and sunny weather.
Right?
A little off.
Joe Darkbug is wonderful. Like, no, that's not a
That's all I got. I'm working with a limited palette here.
So yeah, Joe,
like you do.
Joe is one of those people that actually gives me faith in humanity. Like, people out there really are still doing the right thing.
You know what this feels like? It feels like those videos you watch where you see the person open the door for the other person. Have you seen those montage videos where everybody's doing nice things?
Saving people from a train, like
did you see that one? Yeah. That's what this feels like.
I mean, it's not quite saving someone from suicide. But...
No, see, I said opening a door, and you're like saving a train. You know, the dad's catching the kid before he gets hit by the swing. Just good things. Just good things. I watch some YouTube videos. We talk about that later.
Joe giving away the tablet is exactly like a father catching a falling child out of a swing.
Yeah.
Way to go, Joe.
Hey, you earned it, buddy.
So, speaking of wonderful people that I'm glad I know.
Make no sense.
Yes.
Ara, what's going on, kid?
Well, nothing much. I mean, I'm just, it's funny. I've been watching these all this time, these podcasts, and it's really an honor to be on here. So thank you for having me.
Oh,
you stop it. Just you.
It took you long enough, Ara. We met back at SIGGRAPH, and I've been waiting with bated breath.
Just wait. We'll let you down.
We had lunch together. I had to warn him about tonight, so. I prepped for it.
I don't like this conversation.
Yeah.
Right now.
So Charlie snuck it in there. We met Ara at SIGGRAPH this year, and we keep talking about how wonderful it is to actually get out there and go to the SIGGRAPHs and go to the different, that's
all I said.
And you get to hang out there. And we're not the only ones that think so. He was actually invited to be a part of the ZBrush Summit Sculpt Off, and he's an author, and he's an educator, and he's all kinds of wonderful things.
He was presenting. He was presenting at SIGGRAPH.
Yeah,
the
he was
Keyshot
presenting
booth.
for Keyshot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this kid's kind of a badass.
A big deal.
But let's find out. Ara, where are you from?
So I was born in Beirut, Lebanon, so ages ago. And I lived there up until when I was 18 years old, and then I kind of didn't want to stay there anymore, so I left.
Really?
And yeah, and I was supposed to go to stay with my uncle in Connecticut, but I didn't really like it there, and so I moved to LA.
Yeah, it's Connecticut.
And
So
you know, it was nice, but I just, you know, I kind of I liked it here more. So I was like, if I'm going to move and start anew, this would be the best place to do it.
So you just we'll get back to that because I wanted the beginning part of Ara is very interesting. What was happening during your childhood?
So you know, it was really great for a long time, and then you know, it's funny because it's just like life here. Everything is normal, everything is great, and I was kind of in the, you know, kind of a middle class family, and so then you know, a lot of kind of unrest happened, and there was the big civil war that happened for years, and you know, I had to function in life while that was going on. So going to school and just, you know, living life. My parents had to work and do all that around, you know, a civil war, which is kind of like, you know, the best way to describe it is, you know how when there's like a rainstorm or something and everything kind of slows down?
Mm-hmm.
It was just like that for a long time. So it was really a very harrowing time.
So what was that like? Was there a lot of gunfire and bombs going on?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like, and it would happen out of nowhere. Like, you know, you'd just be having a normal day, and then, you know, all of a sudden, you know, you'd start hearing gunfire, and you know, if it ended there, that's fine. But it kind of kept going on, and you know, there were a lot of factions fighting each other. So we really didn't have any dog in any of the races. So we just kind of were living our lives around what was going on, and it was really scary. I mean, you know, there were nights where you know, bombs fell near my bedroom and shrapnel hit my wooden windowsills and stuff like that. So, you know, I mean, you get really close to stuff happening very, you know, around you, and it's kind of, for a kid, you know, it's kind of a really scary thing because you really don't understand. You don't have all the tools in your head to know exactly what's going on. So it was really kind of harrowing for a while, and then it would stop and then start again and stop and start again, and it just, you know, it was just one of those things where I didn't really think it was going anywhere, and I just thought, this isn't how I want to live my life. You know, I have other dreams and aspirations, so I just kind of made a conscious effort. I was 18, I was able to do whatever I wanted, so I just left.
When did it start? How old were you?
I think I was like maybe 5 or 6. I was pretty young.
When it started?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it kept going all the way through to you about 18 or so?
Yeah, on and off. Yeah, on and off. And I mean, I left for some of the time. I traveled for some of the time, but you know, for you know, the most of it, I was there. And I went to a nice school. I have school friends that I still keep in touch with, and it was a very small class, obviously, because it was a very small school. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I did that, and then I went to the American University of Beirut. It's a university there. I went there for 1 year, and then they had 2 computer science courses. I just took both of them, and then they didn't have any more. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm moving. And I came to LA and went to Northridge and got a computer science degree there. And then right out of Northridge, while I was actually at Northridge, I started working for Microsoft, and then they took off, and then I stayed with them for a very long time. And then what I really wanted to do the whole time, even in Lebanon, I had a Sinclair Spectrum and a VIC-20, and I used to play with 3D applications. Like the Sinclair Spectrum had this thing called View 3D. It's like, I mean, if you look at it now, it's just such a simple program compared to what we have today, but I saw the potential of that, and so I kind of kept up with it. And when I got here, I got a Commodore 64 and an Amiga, and Amiga has had really good graphics capabilities as well. And then when I joined Microsoft, I kind of went the PC route. I also went the Mac route. I used to work with both machines, and then we basically, at some point, Apple was kind of on the decline, so I kind of went the PC route. But I use both of them. I like both of them.
At what point did you know you wanted to get into the arts?
Very early on. I always liked making up stories. I always liked drawing stuff, and I had a big kind of imagination. So I would sit there during the boring classes, and I had a pencil case, and the pencils inside would be submarines, and there'd be all sorts of stuff going on. I'd just build these elaborate kind of sets in my mind, and kind of go off in that direction, and then I would draw them. And I also used to make models and stuff. So I've always kind of been into modeling and also being an artist. I'm more of I'd say I'm more of a 3D person than a kind of a 2D person. I'm trying to do the Inktober this month, and it's really kicking my butt. I mean, I'm really not a, it's not my forte, but I enjoy it. So it gives me an excuse to play for, sometimes 15 minutes, sometimes an hour. But yeah, it was really early on.
Is anyone else on the panel doing Inktober?
Oh, I tried. I started, and then vacation happened, and a new job happened, and it disappeared.
I love the angst.
I'm still at it. What's funny is I knew today was going to be a busy day, and so I did a drawing last night late.
Yeah,
good call. I woke up this morning, I looked at it, and I thought, oh, shit, so I threw it away.
Not posting this.
No. People are actually starting to like my work now. I'm not going to ruin that.
Straight put a post. You kind of fell off the boat with this one.
So, Ara, you're up to date on your Inktober?
I am, and I'm actually really happy because, I do get, at least 10 or 15 or 20 people liking it a day, which to me, I don't know if they're just kind of egging me on or if they really like it, but, it's always fun to post them. And I haven't been posting them on Instagram, which I should. I just post them on Facebook.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not doing this for other folks. I'm just doing it for me, just to kind of, it's funny because the more practice you get, the better you get at it. So it just gives me an excuse.
Yeah,
it's going to be hard to stop on the 31st.
I got myself in a predicament where I did a couple caricatures of some of my friends, and then some of their friends were like, "Oh, this is really cool. Can you do me?" And then, "Can you do me?" And then it got to the point where, like, my first few were kind of tough because I had no idea what to draw, and then people were like, "Hey, can you draw me?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is perfect because now I have something to draw."
Yeah.
And so I would draw that person, and so when you're sitting down and you're about to create something, whether it's your Inktober thing. Well, let's talk about Inktober right now.
Okay.
When you're doing your Inktober, do you know exactly what you're going to draw?
It depends. Sometimes I do. Sometimes, so I have a lot of stories in my head. I have one kind of epic one that I'm trying to eventually make into a comic book, and then maybe see if we can get it to be a movie.
Oh, wow.
But I have a lot of different stories, so I always kind of figure out, whenever I'm sitting in front of a blank piece of paper, I try to go to those stories and try to figure out scenes and then draw from there. Or sometimes I just start drawing lines and then see where that takes me. And that's kind of fun too, because you do something completely unexpected, and it's fun because it kind of, you have some idea of the design aesthetics, but your first few lines are what's dictating where you're going to go.
Yeah.
And I do that with 3D as well. Like sometimes I start knowing what I want to do, and sometimes I just start completely sketching, and then it takes form, and then which is kind of what I did at the Sculpt-Off, which is pretty risky, but it paid off, I guess.
I was going to ask both of you and Steve, that like when you are going into the Sculpt-Off, do you know what you're going to sculpt, or do you just go for broke with an empty canvas?
Well,
we knew what we were doing. We were given the parameters before.
So we knew we had to do a hard surface animal. That's basically the extent of what we got.
Oh, okay.
And so, my initial instinct was to do an eagle, and I practiced at home to do an eagle for a long time, and then I thought, some idiot shot a lion, and I could use this as a forum to tell the world that that's not a good thing to do. So I wanted to make a badass mech lion to go, hunt this guy and tell him not to kill lions.
Did you guys hear that story?
Yeah.
That he's getting that they're not pursuing him
or whatever.
Cecil?
Yeah. So was it Cecil?
Yeah.
Probably. Where they lured him out of the protected area, shot him, and then they tried to. Then
So horrible.
They tried to dismantle the
Ship.
tagging device. Yeah.
Yeah.
Knuckleheads.
I think it's messed up, but at the same time, I heard a couple things with that was that, sometimes these big game hunters that want to go and hunt these things, they go and find different organizations that are supposed to do it in terms of like crowd control.
Conservation.
And we know that conservation and stuff like that, and we know that Lions doesn't really need that, but I really think they should go after those. Besides going after the dude, even though he paid to go onto this safari and do these things or whatever. Obviously, this safari was janky enough where they didn't have any real things for people to shoot at if they have to go into reserve.
So the conservation ones, conservation ones, they do have like where what is it? It was some animal, like when they get up in age and they get
population and stuff like that.
Past the breeding age. They get very angry and they attack the younger ones because they're still trying to get their frisky playtime on. So those are the ones that get tagged, and those are the ones whose tags are put up for auction. So that makes sense. But this lion was actually lured out.
Illegal.
It didn't have a tag. It wasn't. They just lured him out and ended him. But
so can I say something?
Sure.
There was nothing on the planet that did that control over all these millions of years of evolution, right? So there was nothing that went out and killed the old lions because maybe the young lions need to kill some old lions to kind of become badass, right?
Yeah.
Why should we take that away from them, or why should we really mess with the ecosystem of this place? And doesn't anybody have anything better to do than to go kill a magnificent animal like that? Like what? Yeah. If you're going to shoot it with a camera. At least take a picture, put it up in your house. What's the big deal about killing it and then taking a picture with a big smile on your face with your gun? I mean, that's not a competition.
Right. Yeah. Unless you're going to eat it.
If you and your kids are starving and that's the only food there is,
right?
That's a different story. But I don't think this guy was eating anything.
But to end something. To end something's existence, just to have them hanging on the wall, I call bullshit.
As a trophy,
I agree.
I can see it for other things like deer and other things. There was even some reports, and I don't have the facts. I can't remember it right now, but there was a couple places in the northeast or whatever where they're like overrun by deer, and they were allowing were to the point where they were having 11 or more like accidents in a day because there were just too many deer. They overbreeded for this time of year, and they're like just all over the place. So they were hiring hunters that normally would hunt deer, and obviously people eat deer and make sausage and all this other stuff to try to cull that population down, and then also make the roads a little bit safer.
There's places like in Oregon and Michigan, it's overrun with deer.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
literally, they were having 11 accidents a day. I just read this.
I totaled my Blazer in Oregon.
It's scary. My wife hit a deer just last year in my car on the way home from work. Jumped out from one of the forest reserves onto the street, missed the first car, and she's in the far left lane, and it hit her. So it's kind of scary, especially if they pop up wrong. Because I grew up in Indiana, so they can go through your windshield and start kicking you in the face and all this other crazy stuff. I've seen some crazy stuff, growing up. But and the lions are hard to argue that. So.
Yeah, deer are a different kind of animal. Deer have a lot of children because they are prey, but lions don't. Lions are predators. They're very, Again, there's a whole ecosystem that's basically functioned without us messing with it. We don't need to mess with it. And, I don't know what will happen if there are no lions. What happens if the planet just doesn't have lions anymore? Will it exist? Will it,
So cool.
Tigers finally come up like they're supposed to.
That's right. They've been waiting for it this whole time.
Waiting for a while. And panthers would be like, you know what? I can move up too. Sweet.
It's a cat conspiracy.
Well, I'm the king of the jungle now.
Well, if it makes any sense, the Detroit lions are pretty horrible. So if you want to get rid of them,
Really?
I'm gonna give you the carcass on that one.
I heard
dare you.
I heard Chicago Bears are pretty bad too. You know. So.
I don't even. Charles.
Hey, it's funny though. It's funny.
You gonna go there with your little tight ass Colts?
It's funny. And you know what? They're doing a lot better than the Bears this year.
How dare you?
Oh man, I just turned the knife on that one.
How dare you? Yes, you did.
Because I knew the Colts thing was coming. I had ammo. I was ready.
Let's talk about Ara. Let's talk about your artistic influence as a kid.
Right.
You're growing up in this very volatile environment. How were you able to? What were your influences artistically?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of, it's a beautiful country. First of all, it's really very colorful. Seasons are really great. I live by the Mediterranean Sea, so I have a lot of influence on sea creatures and sea life. But also, you start seeing tanks and guns and people go by. You start kind of thinking about, war machines as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big influence. And I always loved fighter jets. Like I got really hooked into world fighter jets, and I started to look at all the different models and all the different makes or whatever. So kind of mechanical machines were really fascinating to me. All sorts of machines, robots, tractors, anything mechanical that's big and that can kind of do functions and do work for people.
That's pretty
on a large
because
scale.
If people haven't seen your work, they need to. As a matter of fact, I'll pull it up right now. Your artwork is very, very detailed. It's very cool to see just how detailed and exact it can be. Here we go.
Oh, nice.
This is that lion that you're talking about.
Yeah. So when I was at the Sculpt Off, I knew I had to do an animal, and I was going back and forth between an eagle and a lion, and you can see that I practiced a lot making an eagle, but I didn't really practice that much making a lion. So it was kind of, did this thing on the spot, and luckily it came together. It could have been a completely different story, but it was great.
I was watching you guys live, and I was like, okay, what's he doing? And then when I saw the final piece, I was like, oh, that's magnificent. That was so cool.
Yeah, I had a rough sketch of it, and if you go to the Pixelogic website, I think I linked to it from here somewhere. But I had, I just did some ink sketches before when I was watching Neville Page and Glenn Hetrick do their bit, and then and I'd kind of done a Photoshop sketch of it before and tried to do the kit bash before, but then it really, it was kind of, it just happened there. It wasn't something that was premeditated in any way.
Yeah.
So you did your sketch in Photoshop right there, right on the spot?
No, I did my sketch with a brush pen in my sketchbook. Okay. Yeah, the Photoshop sketch I'd done before when I was trying to kind of figure out the different pieces.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I kind of had a general idea, and you'll see kind of what I mean about where things go. But I had a general idea of the look, and if you go to my blog, I think I've got a link to the Pixelogic website. So yeah, there. The continue reading, the first topic.
Okay.
And I think there's a ZBrush Central.
Right there at the bottom.
Yeah, you have to scroll down a bit. That one. Oh no, I guess it's not that one. Hang on, I'll send you the link.
You're talking about the post where we all posted our work.
Yeah. If you just go to ZBrush Central.
I'll keep looking at your work, and then what we'll do is we'll link to all that stuff.
Sure.
So people can take a look, because I want them to see your your work, because this is phenomenal stuff.
Yeah. So Ara, real quick, and then Steve, feel free to jump in on this question also. Talk about how you kind of like, or maybe you didn't have any nerves. Talk about how you kind of like, calmed your nerves during the sculpt off. I know for me, I'd be kind of nervous at the same time, knowing that it's being streamed to so many people, while trying to make sure that the actual model comes out and looks like something in the end, and kind of talk about the whole process of that, just for those who don't know what the sculpt off was, and like the parameters and all that stuff, and kind of how you was able just to focus in, or maybe it was easy for you, but what? And then Steve, jump in as you see fit.
Well, I kind of knew I had 3 hours, and I wasn't nervous at all. I was actually really super excited. To me, it was like, okay, so I'm going to get to sit down, put some headphones on, put some music on, and not be disturbed for 3 hours and do art. That's great. I mean, that was like, the first win. The second win was I'm going to be hanging out with these amazing artists, and I'm going to get up and see what they've done. So that was a kind of a big thing for me too. And then and then just doing it and having it work was really incredible. But I was not, I didn't feel like, I didn't really stress out about it too much. Mm-hmm. But I definitely was giddy and excited to be part of it.
That's cool that you didn't have they kind of let you guys work, and then you didn't have to answer too many questions or.
No, they knew. I mean, they knew we had 3 hours, and they knew not to disturb anybody. I mean, some people had headphones on. Some people were listening to the two commentators, which Jessica and Joseph did an incredible job. Commentating on it. That could not have been easy. But yeah, they did an awesome thing while we were working away. But yeah, I was completely tuned out. Like I just, like it started and then it ended, and that was it.
Mm. Was it similar for you, Steve, or no?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was in a sculpt off a year before at this 3D print show in Seattle. There was only 4 of us, and I actually won that one, which was kind of fun. But
awesome.
I kind of went into that one doing a little bit of preparation, and then when we did this one, we knew what the topic was, and we all talked amongst ourselves and agreed that we're only going to do a bust. So we're going to try to keep it simple, so we're going to have a fair shot at it. And then I was going to do one thing. I was going to do like an electron microscope insect at one point. And then at the last minute, like I think it was like 4 days before, I changed my mind. I said I got to do this like space monkey or something. So I just started coming up with ideas. So the thing is, I wasn't really nervous. My thing was I was just a little bit bummed that. When you go into this thing, and I was talking to some of the other artists, you have to budget in that you're going to be wasting at least half an hour getting acclimated to a foreign machine that you're working on. Mm-hmm. And I'm working on a PC at the sculpt off. I'm a Mac guy, so I'm like all of a sudden like I'm hitting the Windows key, every other key I'm hitting the Windows key. And then the monitor I was working on was terrible gamma on the monitor, so I kept having to go over to the second monitor to check my colors when I was doing the key chart rendering. So that was more the pressure, was just like, oh shit, I have to work on a foreign machine. But other than that, it was like, I did like 2 test runs myself. I was talking to Ara about this too. It's like I didn't want to do too many test runs because I felt that, shit, I'm gonna kind of find out with an idea that I like and I can be able to replicate it. So I said, let me just see if I can do like the head in an hour and the suit in an hour, and see if I can just get my ideas down, so that way when I'm in the sculpt off, I can have an idea of how I'm gonna execute it, and I can kind of start thinking about some other stuff. So.
Have any of you guys thought about taking your models any further?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Running it out, because that Space Monkey sounds like that'd be a cool 3D print.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Lion.
I haven't really thought of developing any further. I guess I loaded it up and cleaned up a few things that were just glaring at me, but I didn't really think of doing anything more to it. I think I'll just leave this one here, and then if I'm going to do another one, I'll just start another one over. I mean, if I've got the underpinnings for it. But if people want the 3D print, if I get enough demand, I'm into. It'd be easy to print. Just send the file over.
So Ara, who was that one person during the ZBrush sculpt off that you were thinking to yourself, oh wow, I'm somewhere now?
What? When I was working on my model, you mean, or
during the ZBrush summit? Who was the one person that you got a little bit starstruck when you actually saw them?
Oh, all of them. Everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I looked at that page of who I was competing with, and I'm like, I'm crazy. There's no way I could do anything with the, I mean, like, look at their work. You know, I mean, most people have had, worked on games. They worked, like Paul Liao has worked on Jurassic World. Like, he did that whale, right? And he was sitting like right next to me while I was doing the work. So I was starstruck all over the place. That whole summit, every direction. Like, oh look, here's Rick Baker. Oh look, here's
This is why I would have been freaking out.
So
why I would have been like, I need to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. I will stay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
cool.
So
That's awesome.
How did this come to be? How did they know to reach out to you and
to the ZBrush Summit for the ZBrush Summit?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I was talking to Steve, and Steve said, "Oh, they're going to do it, but they have an open spot. You should talk to them." So I just sent Paul an email saying, "Hey, I've got I'd love to be part of this if possible." And he said, "Let me get back to you," and he did, and he said, "You're in," which was really
I look out for my homies.
Yeah, I got to thank Steve.
That you do. That you do. That you do.
There you go. Awesome.
So this piece here, and if you're listening on iTunes, I apologize, but go to Kermaco, KERMACO.com, and take a look at his portfolio. There's this one piece that's just like machinery and bullet casings and all kinds of stuff that's happening.
Is this the one that's in Nothing But Mech?
Yeah, so if you go back one image.
We should get a little shout out for that book, that project.
Yeah,
so what is that book?
I will.
Yeah.
I will, just 1 second. So that part that you see is this Mech. So this Mech actually connects to this drone that's behind it. And the drone lifts it up, and it's in one of my stories where basically these things, there's an army of them, and so these drones come and drop these mechs down, and then they take off, and they basically scout for them from above. So so the things that you saw in that image are just basically these parts on the Mech, but some of them are hidden. So it just looked neat for me as I was working on it, so I just did a screen grab of it, and that's what it is. So it wasn't a premeditated thing. This was done for Nothing But Mech 2, which is a book that just has a bunch of different really amazing artists doing mechs. And if you haven't seen the book, it's really amazing. It's from Design Studio Press, and what's really great about it is that all these amazing artists do amazing work, and it all gets collected in a book as a body of work. And then the proceeds from the sale of the book went to Francis Tsai, who had a debilitating illness that basically eventually took his life. But he also was continuing to do work while this was happening, and he was able to. So the proceeds from the book went to help him, and then Nothing But Mech 3 is coming out now in a month, and I also have a couple of images in that as well, and so does Steve, and the proceeds from that are going to go to his family because he just recently unfortunately passed away. But what an amazing guy! Like, he just to the end, he was still making art with whatever means were possible, and he was cranking out some amazing stuff too. So
wasn't he doing this crazy thing where he was using like eye movement to control a cursor? It was crazy stuff. Seriously, if you saw his work, I'm like, how he's like using his eye movement to create drawings. I'm like, this is like crazy, but they're gorgeous.
Yeah.
He's obviously he's been a big influence in the industry, and just the love that Lauren has for somebody like that, and the mere fact that we're able to come together as a community of artists and do that is a great. I think it's a great thing to be part of. So I really appreciate Lauren letting me be part of it, and hopefully I've created some good stuff for the book.
Did you ever think about getting into gaming at all?
You mean making assets for games?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I applied at some studios, but it's one of those things where there are things that are really attractive about being part of a game studio. There are things that are attractive about being in film. But I've what I do, if I do concept design, I don't care what it's for. If it's for a game or advertising or whatever the subject is, I don't mind making stuff for it, as long as it kind of fits my aesthetic and the things that I do. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to work on a game. It'd be great.
That's cool. Where has some of your work been shown? You said nothing but Mech 2 and 3.
Yes.
Has your work been anywhere else?
Let's see. I wrote a book on Mudbox a while back. So, but not in a movie and not anything that's been out. So I've worked with producers on concepts and pitches, but a lot of that work can't be shown because I signed NDAs, and if the project doesn't take off, then it just gets buried, which is fine. I mean, I got paid for it, and I'm happy with that. And also, my work on that helps me to do the other work that I do. So I'm kind of lucky in a way because I don't have somebody telling me what to do. I can do whatever I want. So, right? So I basically have freedom to create what I like, and then if people see it and they like it, then they want me to create things like that. Then all of a sudden I'm doing things that I want to do. So like if somebody makes a movie about mechs and doesn't call me, I mean, if Vitali's busy and Fausto's busy, then hopefully I'm the third choice.
Nice.
Because those guys have been my idols. I mean, I really love their work, and they kind of drive me to learn new things and get better.
Very cool. Let's talk about your going to school in Lebanon, and then comparing it to when you came to the States and you're going to school here. Right. What are some of the differences in the two experiences?
Well, the school I went to was very academic. So it was, we learned 4 languages. So we learned Armenian, which is my native language, I guess, and then Arabic, which is what people spoke in Lebanon. French because it was a French colony, and English because that's the language that I like the most. It just seemed the most, it made the most sense to me. So we studied 4 languages. The math was really intense, and school was very hard. I mean, it was very intense work, and it was long days. I think we went to school at 7:30 and then ended at around maybe 4:30. So they were really long days. We didn't really get much vacation time, and it was great. So when I came here and when I went to college, I'd already taken a lot of the math that I needed to take in college. So that kind of was nice. Is that what you meant, like academically, or what was school life like?
No, that's fine.
Socially was kind of awkward because A, there's a war going on, and then B, you don't really have the facility to go out at night or have fun or do anything like that. You're pretty much, I mean, maybe the environment was good for you to kind of focus on studying and doing your work.
Yeah, and I think here in the States we get so comfortable with being able to go to school and being able to have a social life, and you're able to dislike things on Facebook now. So we have everything kind of handed to us, and I think we forget that in places it's not always like that. Like you grew up going to school with bullets flying, and I mean that happens in Chicago too.
I should mention it wasn't that, it wasn't like I was walking to school and there were bullets whizzing by. I mean, it's not like that. It's just like life here. But when something happens in a specific pocket of area, if it's not close to where you are, it's just a happening. It's not happening, to you. And I also was part of a kind of a middle class family, so I was kind of sheltered a little bit as well. It wasn't like I was in a kind of war zone or in a camp or anything like that. It was very kind of separated out. So it wasn't, it's not. It's just a normal life like it is here. It's just that, instead of there being an earthquake or a hurricane or something like that, there was a civil war. It was just another crazy, people getting together and doing crazy things.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, and it's cool. It's cool that you're able to go to school during a civil war and still find time to be creative, and then when you had enough, you came to the States, and your experience with the school here in the States, were you able to then focus more on your artwork?
They weren't very supportive of that vein. I mean, they wanted me to draw and paint and do all that stuff, but they also wanted me to get a real job, like to do a real
living,
thing.
yeah.
So, since I was into jets and whatever, I got a VIC-20 and I learned how to program, and that was fun. And then I figured out that there are flight simulator games, so I got a flight simulator game, and that was fun. And so that kind of got me into computers, and then I started using computers and learning how to program and writing programs for my college and doing all that. And so when I came here, I'm like, okay, well, computer science seems to be a good kind of, safe career to go into, so I did that. But while I was taking computer science courses, I also was taking CAD courses. So I wrote a kind of a paint application as one of my projects, and I also wrote a little CAD application.
And now it's a little program people call Photoshop.
Yeah, no.
Just kidding.
No. Well, funny enough, Photoshop I think had just come out around that time. So, like it was the time when all these things were starting to happen.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think maybe they were looking over your shoulder.
No, I doubt it. Now, Autodesk, AutoCAD people, maybe.
Maybe
yeah, we wrote a really kind of simple CAD application, and I remember I wrote all the primitives for it. Like I wrote the code to generate all the primitives, and it was fun. I mean, we wrote it in C, and just I think we could have. It was just two of us. It was me and a friend of mine, and we could have actually gone and made that into some sort of an app. Another thing I worked on in college, which was really interesting, is we worked on a college map application that told you what classes were going on in what location. So it was kind of like an earlier version of Google Maps, just for the college, right? And those guys, that team of people, wanted to get together and kind of make it into a commercial product too, but I just wasn't interested. I mean, you get to work for Microsoft, and all of a sudden, like Windows 3.0 came out when I started working there. Excel came out when I was working there. Word came out when I was working. I mean, like all these things just really were very exciting.
Wow. So basically, you're like the Forrest Gump of technology.
Pretty much.
Nice.
Pretty much, yeah. So, like I've been in rooms with Bill Gates. I've been, part of big product launches, and just like had a really interesting kind of, it was exactly like a Forrest Gump, or just, a kind of being part of something that's amazing. And then, and then I think in 2007, I thought if I don't get into CG now, then I'm never going to get into it, because I kind of felt like, I kept up with it this whole time. But it was starting to get away from me. Like if I didn't get into it now, then I would never do it. So I took a big risk, left Microsoft, and went to Art Center and went to Nomen, took some courses, and then I started writing the Mudbox book. That took a long time. That was interesting. I'd never written a book.
How did that happen for you?
Well, I had a good friend of mine, Eric Keller, who teaches at Nomen. He's a great author. He's written Introducing ZBrush, and he's written Mastering Maya, so he's just a accomplished author on his own. And we were talking one day, and and then we went to SIGGRAPH, and that's when they basically made the announcement of when Autodesk bought SkyMatter. And so I talked to one of the SkyMatter people there. I saw him at an Autodesk party, and I'm like, hey, do you guys want somebody to write a book about Mudbox? And he said, kind of, yeah, or whatever. And then I talked to the publisher, and she was go for it, and she asked me to send her an outline. I did, and she's like, yeah, let's do it. And that was it. So I was then writing a book.
Yeah, there it is.
No big deal.
Yeah, no big deal.
I only invented Photoshop, 3D Studio Max, and I'm an author, but
I did not invent Photoshop or 3D Studio Max.
I was just trying to get that market.
But I did write Introducing Mudbox. But then, it's funny because I really was gung-ho about Mudbox, thinking it was going to be a good app or whatever, but ZBrush is just such a better sculpting tool. I mean, it's just phenomenally better. So, it's funny, I finished... What's that?
You stop it right now.
No, I mean it's
you like painting in Mudbox way better than ZBrush. You just got used.
No, painting in
Mudbox layers. Talk about all the other good stuff. But yeah,
the layers are nice in Mudbox for the paint layers, but realistically, if you're going to paint, you're going to, like with some of the new technology with like Dedo, Quixel, or with Substance Painter. I mean, you can do so much more in those applications. And Mudbox kind of the sculpting tools went into Maya, so I can see how that's useful, and it is. And I teach Maya. I mean, I teach it at school, but it's. When I sit down in Maya or I sit down in ZBrush, when I get done in ZBrush, I'm more allowed to create and make art, whereas in Maya, I'm always like doing something technical. You know what I mean? Like it's not and I felt the same way about Mudbox. I felt like I was doing something technical. I didn't feel like I was creating art. Like it was so
interesting. Yeah.
So yeah, I love I love working in ZBrush. It's like my favorite app of all time. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm working in it right now.
There you go.
I'm sculpting as I'm listening.
So, I mean, if it wasn't for ZBrush, I don't think I would have met Steve, right? I mean,
Yeah, we met did we meet at one of the Gnomon events?
Yeah, at a Gnomon event, and we talked about ZBrush and kind of hit it off there.
So, you keep saying that you're working for Microsoft. What are your impressions of the new Surface?
Which one, the book or the Surface 4?
Either one.
The book.
Well, I mean, first of all, let me kind of preface the fact that I was part of their tablet movement for a long time. So I worked on tablets that were
So you invented the tablet too.
Yo, Ara, this
Photoshop, 3ds Max, the tablet.
This list is getting kind of long. Keep it up there, Jack.
So basically, I was a technology specialist there, and so you get assigned certain technologies. So you were a champion. So like you were a champion of a certain technology. So I was a champion for tablets. And at the time, they weren't really thinking of them as being something prevalent that everybody could use. They were thinking that maybe it would be a high-end thing that doctors could use in hospitals, or it wasn't like a ubiquitous thing. Even though Bill wanted it to be a ubiquitous product, like I think he had a name for it called WinPad, which was an awesome name, and I don't know why they didn't do it. So when you're asking about the new devices, I think that dream is finally becoming a reality, where you get something in that form factor that has that kind of power. I think it's pretty awesome. Now, for me, it's still not there yet. I ended up getting a Cintiq Companion too, and that kind of is more what I need for my work. But if I was just a business user, I mean, that is the killer laptop to get. Either one of those. Because it basically does Word, does Excel, does PowerPoint, does web browsing, does everything you need. I mean, you can use Photoshop on it. I think ZBrush works pretty decent on it as well. But I kind of got turned off by the fact that the stylus didn't have 2 buttons. Because I use, if I'm going to use Maya on it, I need the 2 buttons. If I'm going to use ZBrush, I'm going to need the 2 buttons. So the Companion 2 is kind of the direction I want to go in for now. But I think that Surface Book that's the first one. Can you imagine what the next 2 or 3 are going to be like? It's going to be pretty interesting. Now, that said, I have a MacBook Pro as well, and I think that's really amazing hardware as well. Design-wise, it's really beautiful. And the mere fact that I can boot into Mac or Windows is nice. So I guess we're lucky. We live in good times.
It's a nice problem to have.
Right?
Do you remember when Microsoft first started announcing the Surface and they had this big ass table?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It was $10,000.
Yeah.
And they had it in
Just
like
to
very
share
specific
photos.
areas. Yeah, and it's so funny because I remember I was at SIGGRAPH and they were showing it somewhere, and somebody came and threw an iPhone on the table, which was the same exact technology but smaller on a phone, and it made more sense. I think they really they changed the whole game, which is about the time I left, is when the iPhone was kind of coming in.
You saw the
So
writing on the wall.
So I didn't invent the iPhone. I didn't invent the iPhone.
They were looking over your shoulders, though.
They probably were. Well, I mean, it's funny because before the iPhone came out, the prevalent smartphone was the Windows Phone. Like, it was a really popular device. And then once the iPhone came out, it was game over. Like, they could not even touch it.
Yeah, what's funny is when the iPhone first came out, I had the very first one, and I remember how just shitty it was. I mean, it would call random people at random times, and I'm like, what? And I'm like leaving voice messages, but like it's the train going by, and it was really bad. You couldn't make apps for it, and it was so bad. But it changed the game. For as bad as it was, it changed the game.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's like you got to see potential. So the iPhone changed the game. The first one wasn't maybe what today's device or tomorrow's device is going to be, but it started a good kind of direction. And that's kind of what I think is happening with this Surface Book. I think Microsoft started in a really good direction. So, I think it might have some good ramifications in the future. However, I also see big value in the iPad, which is a completely different device, which instant on, right? It's battery lasts for a very long time, and now they have the pencil for it, so you can sketch on it. I think Steve's very excited about that. So, I mean, I could definitely see that being a different device. I don't know if there's an intersection between the two. Like, I don't know if there's going to be a Windows tablet at some point that's going to be that convenient.
And also, I think one of the things too is that I kind of also clamor for like, why can't we have like OS 10 on Cintiq? But I think what they did with the iOS touch interface is that, and they've said this before, is that we don't want you having to lift up and touch the screen. So they designed the stuff for the iPad to work in a certain way, and I'm okay with that. I'm not wanting to necessarily want to do sculpting or high poly modeling on an iPad right now. I mean, I do it on my desktop all day on the Cintiq. But yeah, okay, it would be kind of cool maybe to try it out on a Surface Book or the Surface Pro. But for me, I'm more like inclined to be sitting on the couch or in bed sketching with the digital sketchbook. Now, yeah, I know you can do that with the Surface Pro, but the thing is, with iPad, they've really nailed it. I don't know if you guys see my post about. I'm like today to find out if there's any new leaks about new videos of like something. Like there was like a secret event in New York like last night. And
I saw that. Yeah.
It's like, come on, like these guys are like. I'm like, I have like one friend over at Apple. I'm like, dude, and he's like in the iPhone development era. I'm like, dude, he hasn't even seen the pencil yet. I'm like, dude, do you know anything about anything secret going to happen in LA? Get me on that list so I can get in and like preview this thing before 2 weeks or whatever. But they really nailed it. I mean, everyone you've talked to, like the Disney artists, the Pixar artists, and a couple other people, they're like, there's no lag. They've got their own touch-based thing where it really does sense the difference between the pen and your palm, and I think they got it. So I can't wait to just try it and see like if it's like going to be the end-all, the be-all, and then it's like, okay, game over. It's like iPad Pro.
Get out of town. I didn't know you did anything creative.
Yeah, but I don't know. I still think they need it. It's cool, but like at the same time, it's like it's just for sketching though. Like I guess maybe the next step would be to come out with a stronger iPad. I guess. Or integrate them with their MacBooks or something, or do a 2-in-1. Like.
Well, I mean, if you look at it from a technology perspective, if you look at a Surface, it's got a graphics card, it's got a processor, it's got a hard drive, SSD hard drive, it's got all these different components. The iPad is not dealing with any of that. The iPad is just like, we're going to make a solid-state device that is going to not have a fan. It's not going to be heavy. It's going to be super thin. It's going to have a battery that lasts this long, and it's going to have apps that are specifically catered to it. So.
Yeah, no, I understand that part. I just think, now that they have that technology, let's put it in one of your new portables or whatever, one of your new laptops, your MacBooks or whatever, so that we can really use it for some other things, besides just sketching in accordance too, because it's
something that's going to be
it's
something that's going to compete a little bit more with a companion.
And even if it doesn't compete, just like it seems like it can be used for the creative industry so much better, if that's so much better. But you know what I mean? It could be used really, really like type of things, and just to keep it only on an iPad,
Charlie, I would. Here's the thing: I would not turn down if they did something like a Surface Book Pro, where they had
like. Yeah, Apple's yet to do the 2-in-1 thing, just with all the stuff I've been doing into that seems like it can be cool where now you have, that iPad Pro, but you put it back together, now it's stronger.
What do you got a soundboard over there?
I have to do it, man. I don't have the big setup, elaborate sound deck you have over there.
Well, that's what's really cool though, is that now that the Surface Book came out, Apple's going to have to respond to that somehow. So it kind of is cool again because the competition is really kicking up. And not working for either one of the companies anymore. We're the winners because we get to get better devices to do what we need to do.
Because now Apple's like, sweet, you came out with something cool. Oh, yeah, cool. Let's get to work. Now they're
gonna say, okay, now we got something else we can steal.
Here's the thing though. Even though it's cool, here's the thing. Surface Book, who names these things? It's like, can't you come up with a snappier name?
Apple Pencil. Yeah, I know. Really?
Yeah.
Come on. It's
really? Yeah, I can see what you're saying there, but I'll take a book.
Yeah.
So you know what time it is?
Story time.
What time? I love this game.
You never did this game with me on my episode.
Oh,
because
do one for me next time.
Because Ara didn't invent it yet.
Wait, we gotta go back to the future to invent it.
Yeah, we must go back. You got to go back.
We'll get you, Steve.
All right.
But yeah, this wasn't invented yet. All right, so I needed to hurry up and get this done because we keep talking and Ara keeps just answering all my this or that's. So, all right, so Ara, this or that, Mudbox or ZBrush?
Oh, ZBrush.
Wacom Cintiq or Windows Surface?
Cintiq Pro, or the Cintiq Companion 2, for now.
It's kind of a badass machine. Not gonna lie.
It's pretty badass.
I'm a little bit addicted to mine.
Yeah,
it's got worn-in marks now. All that. Anyway.
Yeah, rub it in. Keep rubbing it in.
Did you figure out the stand thing? The stand is kind of they could have used a better design for the stand.
Yeah. There's no excuse for the stand.
So I got a couple.
Maybe they wanted to.
And they work really well. So these things are for an iPad, so they just basically fold out. And I think it's from a company called something 12, but there's two positions. One is like that, where you basically can put the and these pop off. So if you want it to be lower, you just put two of these side to side, and it just holds it really solid. Or you can kind of turn it over this way, and then you can put it up this way as well. So it works really good. It only has two positions, not three, like the one that comes with it. But
there's a joke in there somewhere.
What's the company called?
It's something 11. I'll find it and put it in. I'll send it to you.
For the show notes. Yeah. Please.
But that works really good. And then the stand that comes with it, I think they're going to redesign it as well. So hopefully they will have another stand that we can buy after.
Yeah.
Cintiq, for now, Cintiq Companion 2.
The device itself is unbeatable. The stand, let's just say you're buying the Cintiq Companion for the Cintiq Companion.
Yes.
Do not expect much from the stand.
Yeah, but think about it though. I mean, with this device, which is kind of the size of an Intuos Pro. I mean, it's a little bit thicker. You're running ZBrush, you're running Photoshop, you're running all these apps, and not connected to anything.
Right.
At a library, at a coffee shop, in a hotel room, wherever you are.
And the cool thing is with the Companion 2 is you can plug it in. You can do this with the Companion 1. You can plug it into a Windows machine and use it as a slave device.
Yeah.
But Companion 2, you can plug it into both Windows and Mac.
Yeah, and
that's what's phenomenal is you can use it as a slave device. So you can, right now I have a really old Cintiq connected to my Mac, and I would love to be able to get rid of this, put in a Companion 2, and then just when I'm out and about, I just unplug it and take off running.
Yeah. No, it's. I mean, the mere fact that I can do this is like a miracle. It's great.
All right. This or that. Do you say football or do you say soccer?
I say soccer. It's the only. It's funny because it's the only. It's the only. It's kind of the only sport I watch. I only watch it when the the World Cup is on, and it's this year was a lot of fun. But yeah, that's the only sports that I watch. I don't watch any baseball or football or rugby or basketball. I mean, I always get drawn into sports. But I did college football when I was a kid.
If it makes you feel any better, I stopped watching baseball today.
So it sucks. But you know what? You're saying that it's a good team. So maybe next year. You don't know.
Yeah, we've been saying maybe next year for like 104 years now. So, have you ever watched Bewitched? Have you ever watched Bewitched?
Yeah.
Do you like Darren Stevens, the first one, or the second one?
Which one was the actor that Larry Hagman? Was he the second one?
No, Darren McGavin.
I believe he was the first one.
No, or am I thinking of? I
you're thinking I Dream of Jeannie.
I Dream of Jeannie. Okay.
Yeah.
Jack, I feel old.
I don't even remember which one. I don't even remember who they were. So
good,
I'll have
I don't either.
Yeah.
All right. On a similar note, on the Brady Bunch, do you like Mike Brady, the first one, or the second one?
Wow. Didn't watch the Brady Bunch.
Wait. What do you mean the first or the second one?
That's a trick question.
Come on, what are you talking about?
What is that? There's no two.
Yeah, there's two Mike Bradys.
No.
Was it?
What are you talking about?
The dad? There's two dads.
No.
Dude, you
No.
know. Okay.
What?
We're going to the internet.
How many?
Yeah, do it.
Mike Brady.
Share your screen. Share your screen right now.
Are you talking about the movie?
I'm
That
talking
terrible
about the
movie?
show.
There was only one Mike
A lot of
Brady.
subliminal messages in that movie. Terrible new movie. Show your screen. I want to see.
There is only
No, I
one.
can-
Robert Reed.
Robert Reed. No,
There was the one with the really curly hair, and then the one without.
That's
the really
Robert
curly
Reed
hair.
later.
That's the same
in life.
guy, just the 70s versus the 60s.
All right. Do you like Mike Brady? Do you like Robert Reed with curly hair or straight hair?
Yeah.
Straight hair.
Good.
You guys.
Burnt ass.
Hair.
Burnt ass. Good. I could have sworn there was two of those guys.
That was the
That's
best.
awesome.
That was the best question ever. Did he push back on it?
Shut up.
Did he lift it up?
Moving on.
I did. I didn't watch the Brady Bunch. I watched
Good.
Eight Is
I
Enough.
just quit watching them now too.
Carlos
Yes.
didn't either.
I just quit. Do you like Dennis the Menace or Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes?
Ooh,
Uh-oh.
Calvin. Definitely
That's
Calvin.
easy.
Definitely Calvin.
Like
100%.
Yeah.
Dennis is just trying to be Calvin.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit, but Dennis has been around much longer than Calvin.
Calvin went back
Calvin-
to the future. Have you seen his cardboard boxes?
Dude,
Calvin
He's
is
been in and
Spaceman
out of that
Spiff.
Dennis the Menace comic so many times.
dude, he hung
Calvin
out
is
with
Spaceman
Tiger.
Spiff. Dennis the Menace didn't imagine himself to be anything cool.
Dude,
He wasn't Spaceman Spiff.
he
He didn't
hung
have a
out-
tiger.
Yeah, Dennis was just kind of a
Tiger.
dick.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
here's
Yeah,
one
he
for you
just
guys.
went over and bugged his neighbor. I mean, that's
He
all
beat
he
up on
did.
old dudes. Yeah,
So-
Dennis
Yeah,
beat up on old
exactly.
dudes.
Here's
Yeah.
one for you guys. Calvin Hobbes or Bloom County?
Calvin and
Calvin
Hobbes.
Hobbes.
There's
Calvin
none
and
better.
It beats everything. It just
Ain't nobody
you
got
just
time
dump
for
them.
that little round beak penguin
Dude,
thing.
I used to remember getting the trade paperbacks, the big ones. Oh man, that's so good. They used to always be checked out at the library. So pissed.
I think the only thing that's better than
We
Calvin and
just opened up
Hobbes
a
is
can.
The Far Side.
Charlie needs some therapy.
No, we used to fight over those things, man. And then don't let it be a colored version of it,
Why is it always got to be about color, Charlie?
because when it is.
Because it
what were you
is.
saying? What were you
Because it
saying
is.
about Ara? You had a question?
No, I said that nothing beats Calvin and Hobbes except maybe Far Side. Far Side kind of
Far Side was
I
just
beg to differ, but that's
wrong.
Far Side
I
was
still love you though.
was good. Far Side was good.
But
Oh
Calvin and Hobbes was epic.
yes.
All right, this or that. Being a teacher or being an author?
Ooh. I don't know. It's kind of the same thing. The only thing with being an author is you don't really have your audience before you.
You
You're
have some bratty kids
students.
telling you.
I have really great kids. I don't have bratty kids. They're really awesome. I'm really lucky. I get, and it's funny because at Otis it's a different kind of mentality where they're not, it's not like Gnomon where they're just going to do special effects. They could go into a lot of different fields, and so I've got fashion students, I've got students that want to do toy design, I've got students that want to do motion graphics. So I get a lot of different people and introduce them to 3D and see how 3D can fit into what they want to do. So I mean, teaching is really fun. It's instant gratification, right? Because when you see somebody do their first animation and you see the smile on their face, you see that. But when you're an author, you have no idea what's happening when somebody's reading your book. You have no idea if they're really learning from it or enjoying it. So I think teacher probably. I would say teacher more than author.
Just for the instant gratification.
Well, not the instant gratification, but the kind of the loop back, right? The feedback. You're basically you're
yeah, that's good.
And last one, pudding or Jello?
Jello.
Oh, good choice.
Yeah, pudding is not bad, but
yeah.
Pudding sucks.
But pudding is like pudding is a lot of things, right? Like there's Yorkshire pudding. Which is that pudding really? No. There's Jello's pudding, right?
Jello pudding.
But
you can't do it. Jack, give me a Jack.
You can't have your pudding if you don't eat your meat.
Jello.
Pudding.
What?
Jello. Pudding with a roofie in the glass.
Yes.
With the thing and the stuff and the stuff and the thing.
in the pudding and the pop and the Jello.
Oh,
man, talk about like somebody you just really kind of thought was an amazing person, and then all of a sudden finding out that he's not. It's just such a bummer.
Yeah.
Because we all grew up like just Mr. Huxtable. It's
yeah. And what's funny is when you go back in time, go back and watch all his earlier stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just he's like leaving breadcrumbs his entire career.
Yeah.
He's leaving breadcrumbs. On the Huxtables or whatever, where he's like cooking up a batch of chili and he's talking about putting in some stuff in there that makes you want to get down and not
Yikes.
Yeah.
There's a famous black publication, Ebony Magazine, this month put like a bombshell for their front cover. It's an old Cosby promotional photo from the Cosby Show, so it has everybody on there, at least Bonet, all the guys, and then it has it as if it's a broken picture, but the broken part is right over Cosby's face, and if you look up the Ebony like Cosby or whatever, you'll see the front cover. I think it's this month's Ebony front cover, which is a pretty big magazine. Obviously, they've had him on the cover so many times, but it's kind of like beginning of it, and it's like really big for Ebony Magazine to do this. It's been talked about a lot this last couple of weeks.
That's just an unfortunate situation,
right?
It is.
I don't even. I have the sound clip. I don't even know what it is, so let's listen to it. It might fit here, and it might not. I don't know.
Oh boy.
How could I have been so careless? How could I have been so careless?
That actually fits.
What does he say?
Bill Cosby says,
how could I have been so careless?
How could I have been so careless?
So did he apologize at all? Like, has he done a public apology?
No, he's been really quiet about it all.
Really?
So the deposition came out.
Boy, just asking for trouble.
So Ara, what other software do you use while you're in the creative process?
All right, so jumping completely off into something different. I mostly use ZBrush is kind of where I start. So I start in ZBrush. I use Keyshot a lot because it's the only renderer that's kind of really straightforward. And I've studied a lot about Mental Ray and about some of the other renderers and V-Ray, and so Keyshot just really, for what I want to do, it's perfect. So and Photoshop. So those are kind of the three programs. So ZBrush, Keyshot, and Photoshop. And I'm starting to get more into CAD programs now, so I'm starting to use Fusion 360 a little bit, and also this other one called Moment of Inspiration, which are pretty amazing. And and there's a periphery of other programs that I use. Like, for some of my abstract stuff, I use Mandelbulbs. For some of the programs that I use, so it just goes off. For UVing, I use UV Layout. So, I always try to keep about 10 programs that I use all the time.
That point of inspiration is really good. It's starting to be really good. And then I've seen more and more people. I was just reading another post about Fusion before, where it was more and more like creatives are starting to like use it a little bit in conjunction like with Max, and then throwing their stuff in there. I'm still wrapping my head around. I'm assuming it's got a good subdivision surface algorithm, as well as for like booleans and all that good stuff. But I'm still wrapping my head around what would be a good use for it. But maybe you found some good uses yet. But
it's totally. I mean, the nice thing about it is that it's kind of geared towards manufacturing. So you when you make stuff, you kind of have to think of it from that perspective. It's a total mind. Can I cuss on the show, or is it family only?
I've already done it.
Go for
Okay,
it.
so it's a total mind fuck. So it just like you have to really look at it from a different. It's hard to kind of create what you want, but you get some really nifty results.
Yeah.
Like I've posted a few things, but I haven't really kind of delved into it as much as I want to. But you'll see some stuff from me coming out using them soon.
And how was that? The other one you mentioned, I heard that one just a little bit too. That's a relatively newer program, right?
Fusion or
point of inspiration or
Moi. Yeah. It's a newer program.
What's it called?
No, it's not new. It's been around.
Really? Okay.
What's it called?
Moment.
Hang on.
Is it Moment of Inspiration?
Let me see. It's Moi, MOI. And let me see if they have a thing on here that says what it is.
That was
MOI
totally,
3D, yeah.
Yeah, that was totally under my radar, and I saw it
MOI3D
last year, but really didn't look at it anymore. So it's funny that you said it. So now I'm interested in like if you know any more about it.
Yeah, you can I mean, they have a trial. I downloaded it and I started playing with it, and then I'm like, moment of inspiration.
Moment. Of inspiration.
So it's and I played around with it, and then I kind of really liked it, and so I've been using it more and more. So I spend like maybe half an hour, 45 minutes a day on it just to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And you get pretty good if you, again, just like Inktober. If you spend an hour on something every day, then in 2 months you're
pretty good.
It's part of your
repertoire. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think about all of these software companies moving towards a subscription model?
Well, that's kind of interesting that you say that because, like Adobe did it first with Photoshop, and I was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stay with CS6, and I'm not going to subscribe to this model or whatever. And then I did, and I mean, it's kind of a hassle, and there's going to be a day where I'm going to launch it, and it's going to have some hiccup where it needs to connect to the mothership, and it can't. But Fusion 360 is even more so that. And I wonder if they're going to go to a model at some point where everything's going to be subscription-based, even Windows. Like, I think that's the big push to Windows 10. Like, they're going to want to make that subscription-based. Office is, so you have to, subscribe to Office now if you don't want to spend a lot of money.
And I really don't like the online version of Office. Can't really stand it right now. Outlook is not the same as it used to be. Outlook Online is not Outlook to me.
Yeah.
Really pisses me off at work.
If you get Office 365, you actually download the apps. It's kind of like the Adobe model.
But it still connects to the internet, so we have 365 at the office, and it still logs off after a while. Yeah. So you know how you used to have your Outlook just minimized, and and then you pull up, or you get the notification. Yeah. I have to log back in after a while because I haven't connected to it as an app also. Yeah. It's weird because in everything, PowerPoint, all the things. Where, you can have the installed version, but it's still kind of connect. You're still logging in, and I'm still logging in the morning, and however long it stays online. It's just weird because it's new, I guess. But
it's
not a fan.
It's funny that you say that because I remember when when I first so I worked at a software store for a while, and I remember, like that's when software was starting to come out. Like there's Lotus 1-2-3 was a big deal, and there were these games, and nothing compared to what we have today. And I remember like there were some really cryptic copyright protection schemes. Like they had floppy disks with laser cut holes in them that basically was the copyright protection. And I remember Microsoft made a big deal about like getting rid of copyright protection, and like they just you could copy their software. They just put it out there, expecting people to buy it, and then piracy started. So I think this is a way for companies to fight piracy in a way, but then it's also a way for them to make revenue that's dependable, right? So if I come out with a version of Office now, but I don't come out with one for another 3 years, then those 3 years, and I'm spending money to develop the next version. So now they could be getting money every year, like just coming in from.
Not to mention,
Yeah.
You can just have the structure of your software, and you just let out these little iterations and just keep improving it slowly but surely. And it's just a new way to get people to invest in your company's future.
But just from my experience working with companies, companies took a long time to upgrade their software. So like they stayed on the same software for a long time, and they usually waited for a machine refresh cycle to update the software. So like if you have a big production, you're working, let's say you're making Star Wars, you're not going to change, you're not going to get spoon-fed different versions of Maya while you're doing that. You know what I mean? You basically lock it at, I'm going to make it with 2015, and that's what
upgrading.
Right? Yeah. So I wonder how that's going to play into the subscription model. But it's going to be interesting to see if Windows does go in that direction, like how people will react, and if Autodesk is going in that direction.
We'll see after this first year, right, guys? We'll see after this first year, right? So it's free right now. Let's see next year when it's not free anymore.
Well, I think their biggest push is to get everybody on Windows 10, so they're going to get as many people they can on Windows 10, and then the next version is probably going to be subscription-based. Maybe, I don't know.
So they're talking about having a subscription for the operating system?
Yes.
Oh,
that's like the rumor.
Do they always make the wrong decision?
Well, it's not making the wrong decision. It's, them thinking we need to create a steady revenue stream. And that's kind of the direction a lot of software is going in. They'll probably have both versions for a while. They'll probably have a version you can buy and a version you can... but Fusion 360 is all cloud-based. That's what I was coming to. It's like completely cloud-based. So, I wonder if if things are going in a direction where it's going to be distributed computing, where you have certain things that happen in the cloud on servers, and there's certain things that happen on devices. So you can have lightweight devices like the iPad Pro, but still run really sophisticated apps because the network is going to handle that capability. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I still... I don't mind going on and if I'm using software, paying subscription, now that it makes sense to me. And you touched on it earlier, Autodesk is moving in that direction too, where you can use Sketchbook Pro for like $4 a month or something. All of that makes sense, but you're gonna charge me a monthly fee just to turn my computer on? Are you gonna give me the computer for free?
No.
Or to give you updates. I don't think it's that cut and dry. Invasive.
Yeah, I mean, probably what'll happen is that you'll buy your computer, and it will, they'll sell you a year or 2 years of the operating system, or you can buy it with 3 years or 5 years of the operating system, and then you basically
have it. You just won't have updates.
I mean, you pay for it now. When you buy a computer now, you're paying for the OS, right? Like you're paying a certain amount of money that goes to Microsoft to the OS. Apple, when you buy an Apple computer, they basically budget it out that the hardware division is going to make this much of that, and the software division is going to make this much of that, etc. So
and they haven't announced it yet either. So but that's the thinking from industry insiders. But at the same time, it could mean that the version that you have now, right, and the version that you upgrade to, is the version that you always have. But when they come out with a new version, that new version might be subscription based in a way where it'll push new updates and the best updates for in class for that. But we don't know how they would do it.
So the way I would see it is, I mean, I don't know if this is the case. This is completely me speculating. Is the way I think they'll do it is you'll get the OS with the machine, and you'll get it for a certain number of years.
Yeah.
They basically want you to keep the machine for 5 years, so you'll get it for those 5 years, and then you'll pay a subscription fee. You won't pay a subscription. You'll just have it, and then you'll get the Windows update for free. When those 5 years are over, if you want to, continue using the same computer, then you will basically have to pay a subscription fee to get the updates, or to upgrade to the next version of the software if your computer can handle it. I don't know. I mean, that's totally 100% speculation.
Yeah, I hope not, because that's. God, so basically you're just renting a machine.
Yeah.
OS,
Yeah.
Basically. You can always go back to an older version, or Windows.
I think
7 is still awesome.
I think cell phone companies are to blame.
Exactly. That's the model.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when you buy an iPhone, you get it for, $200, $300, but then you're paying $60 a month, and you're paying for that iPhone, and you don't even know it.
You don't know.
Right.
Most people don't know that's why it's at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're paying for that. Yeah.
Could you imagine being a huge company like Digital Domain or something like that, and you have all these machines running, and then you have all these people, and then your subscription is up?
I mean, and that happens. That does happen, and that's kind of my question about the subscription-based and cloud-based. I mean, so many of these companies, the entire company is, depending on a license server, and when those servers go down, it's like the whole company's screwed. So not only when you're talking about a licensed server, and then you're then on top of talking about like a monthly subscription. I mean,
brutal.
The way that would work with big companies is they wouldn't be so basically the subscription model happens with Microsoft, right? So Microsoft is the place you go to check your subscription. Adobe is the place you go to check your Creative Cloud subscription, right? So when you launch Photoshop, they go to check to make sure that your payment is cleared, and then it launches Photoshop. So if you're a big company, though, it doesn't work that way. When you're a big company, then you would have servers that manage your own licenses. So Microsoft will give you, like, let's say you have 500 users, they will give you 500 licenses for Windows, and then that server checks with Microsoft once, but all the users are only dependent on those servers. They're not dependent on Microsoft. Does that make sense? Yeah, and that's how their cloud computing works now. Like, so you can either buy processing time, or you can buy the servers and then host them yourself, and then you're your own cloud, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think the way I think is it's going to be better for us because it'll be more secure, but it could also be a hassle because everything has to be a hassle somehow. You can't have things not be a hassle.
I still see it as a hassle a little bit, but maybe not with Microsoft because they're a big company. But even with some of these smaller, even with the smaller companies that my company deals with all these 3D software going to like cloud versions and whatnot. And I won't name names of software, but like at the same time, it's kind of a clusterfuck at work where like. They're like, okay, who has this log into this license one? Or when they want to buy a bunch of seeds for an artist, you don't just buy all these licenses now. They kind of want you to. We end up having to set up pseudo like logins with our company name to use all these new painting softwares and all these other things, just because everything's on the cloud or everything's subscription based, and now you're trying to weigh the pros and cons. Do we do the $19 a month one that gives us all the access? Do we do the full one? And in some cases it's not really that much of a difference because we know you can use the program. Sometimes they give you insanely long, trial period because then they hook you in anyway. So it's. I think there needs to be a standardized thing so that everybody adopts the same thing, so it makes more sense. Because I just see more logging into things, than anything else, instead of just running it like I used to.
Well, in big companies, the way that happens is you have a smart card. So you log into your computer with that smart card as well as everything else. So that smart card will have all your credentials. So you won't really need to, I mean, if you work for a big company, you won't need to log into anything. You'll just basically have a card that, it may be a password as well. So you put those two in and basically unlocks everything.
But for a smaller studio, though.
But for a smaller studio, it's a nightmare.
100-man studio, 50-man studio, those cards are too expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think that's kind of the issue is, you look at, Microsoft and big companies focus on enterprise customers because that's big chunks of money, right?
Right.
So and then there's people that focus on small and medium businesses, and, those are always kind of challenged because they're very different. So they'll have to make it work for those companies as well.
For those medium-sized programs that are making big waves on the internet now, and a lot of big companies are using it, but they're probably having trouble, I guess, expanding fast enough. That's probably a little bit of that issue too.
You just nailed it on the head, Charlie. It is exactly that, because the sad thing is that these big companies don't innovate. I mean, they innovate at a very slow pace, and it's all these small companies that innovate. And if they're going to be dealing with stupid, login issues and not being able to use the software, it's going to cause some, re-engineering to be done, I guess.
And on the other side of that, you have Apple, who gives away their operating system for free.
They don't. That's kind of a misnomer. They really don't give their operating system away for free, because Apple builds that into the price of your machine. So when you're buying a really expensive Apple, I mean, they're still hiring people to make that software. They're still it's a cost center. They're just building it into the price of the machine, and they're building the upgrade price into the machine. Whereas Microsoft doesn't. Now they're selling their machines, but before they didn't, right? So they had to go with the original equipment manufacturers, and those guys want the least amount of money because it's very competitive. So they want to buy the OS really cheap. And so, I don't know.
And
I'm surprised.
If you think about it, possibly the end user, being us, might not have to deal with this monthly fee, because computer manufacturers are going to want to sell you a machine. No one's going to want to pay a monthly service for that. So if I go and buy a HP something or other, or a Dell something or other, they might absorb the cost or hide it into the price of the machine.
Maybe what they'll do is, let's say you're interested in getting the Surface Book, right? But right now it's what, $2,000, right? But what if it was $1,500, but it only came with 6 months of Windows, and then you had to subscribe after that? You know what I mean? These companies might find it as an advantage because they can lower the price of their hardware, and make it more compelling for people to buy. Because right now when you buy a computer, you're paying at least $60 for a copy of Windows. That's built into the price of the computer. So they can take that away. They can make the computer cheaper, but then you subscribe to get the.
That's a very good point too, because if I build hardware, I'm just worried about you buying my hardware. So now the pressure of
backfired on them is they put all this crapware on there, right? So like you buy a computer and it's got like 25 stupid apps on it, and you're like, what? And then it's like getting sand out of your shorts to erase them all out of the computer. And then, so there's an app called Decrapifier, which when a relative.
There's also an awesome app called Flash That Computer.
Start over.
When I first started, that used to be weird for PC guys. I was at Ritual, right? Or built your new machine, or buy a new machine, no matter where you got it from. My first thing was sticking that Windows disk in. I was like, no, goodbye. Clean. So squeaky clean now. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So similarly, go ahead, Ara. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I think we talked this topic to
death. So similarly, Ara, you have a Vimeo and a YouTube channel, don't you?
Yeah, I do. So I kind of my goal is to do training. So before I taught at school, when I learned something, I'm like, well, how can I package this and teach it back?
Mm-hmm.
And so I just created these videos, and amazingly enough, like 10,000 people have watched one of the videos. I don't know how that happens, but
Wow.
I don't think that many people were interested in UVs in Maya, but they are, I guess. So, it was kind of one.
Interested.
You know
10,000
why?
times.
Yeah, it's Jack. He watches
You
it.
know
all
why?
the time.
Yeah.
He refuses to take notes.
Because UV and Maya sucks. And
Yeah,
they're like,
it does.
wait a minute, this dude is, okay, cool, so that's how you do it. Yeah. I tell people, open up Max.
That's how you do UV and Maya. You open up Max.
You export your model and you open it in 3ds Max, or you open it in any other program.
Does Max have good UV tools?
Yes, they
Oh,
do.
it does?
And they have a whole army of the community that you can add on to if you want more. But yeah, no, it does. Out of the box though, it does have really good UV tools.
Sweet. Well, Maya's getting better. It incorporated Unfold 3D into there, but
Yeah. 2016,
so
really nice this year.
cool. So I just kind of have these channels, and I intend to put more videos on there. I'm currently writing a book called Polysculpting, which is basically a modeling primer for Design Studio Press. So I'm kind of diligently working on it now. I've got a chapter due at the end of this month. I'm working on that. And so what I'm going to do is, just like Scott Robertson did with his How to Draw book, I'm going to have videos explaining certain portions of the book as well. So there'll be, I want it to be more image-based because I want people to, not have to read. If they can just look at 2 or 3 images and get what's going on and understand the concept, that would be an accomplishment on my side. But I also will have videos explaining stuff, and I also will have augmented reality where you can hold up an iPad or a phone to it and see the models pop up out of the book, and then you can do turnarounds. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen How to Draw and how they've done that same thing with How to Draw and How to Render, it's pretty amazing. So you basically just open the book to a certain page, there's an app you download, a free app, and then you hold your iPad and point it at the book, and then either videos pop up on teaching you how to do things, or actual models pop up, and then you can, look at and see what it looks like.
That's
and interact with it. Yeah, so yeah, eventually I'm going to have a lot of videos on that YouTube channel, and then I might have a private area where there's if somebody buys the book, they can get to that area as well.
That's awesome.
Cool.
And the Vimeo channel, I haven't really updated put anything up on there. I just have it because it's kind of good to put your feet in different baskets, so to speak. If YouTube kind of starts charging people $10 and people move off of it, then move to Vimeo, then I'm already there.
Nice.
Well, funny you should say that. This was announced, I want to say, in the last day or two. Come October 28th, YouTube is going to be charging a monthly membership fee. If you want to watch YouTube with no ads, they're going to be charging around $10 a month. And some of the content creators were a little bit upset about this. I'm not exactly sure why, but I think they were upset because they think that charging someone a monthly fee to get rid of ads is going to detract people from coming to see the content. But the way that the rebuttal was, no, actually, for $10 a month, people are already used to all these little subscription things for $10 a month. Supposedly, content creators, if they are the successful kind, they should be making a little bit more money. Would you guys be interested in paying $10 a month to watch YouTube content?
Kinda, because I'm on YouTube a lot, but at the same time, I can see where YouTube streamers and content creators and stuff can get mad because they get partnered with a lot of different, companies and people based off their ad revenue. So a person like PewDiePie or any one of these other big ones, if their stream it's dependent on you watching that little video first, but then you don't have to. It's almost like having an ad blocker. How did they make that money back in? Maybe it's just based on them having to do live commercials like they do on podcasts, instead of having the canned ones running now, because you're not seeing those anymore, either in between them or before or after their stuff. So I watch YouTube a lot. It sounds cool, but I still don't know if I want to pay $10. But it would be nice not to watch commercials, because I remember when they didn't have commercials. It was awesome.
Yeah, but they couldn't pay their bills. Ara, what do you think? Do you think people would pay $10 a month to see your content?
Well, here's a perfect example. I don't think I'm going to pay $10 a month to not see ads, because I don't really care on my personal time. I can just kind of either skip it or be doing something else. But when I teach, sometimes I want to reference YouTube videos. And if I go there, like I'm sitting with a bunch of students who are paying for my time, and then we all need to sit down and watch a stupid, ad for 3 or 4 minutes or whatever, however long it is, to get to what I want to show them. So I think it would behoove the school to pay that $10 and not be able to, to be able to get
nice.
to.
Yeah.
So for an institution, it makes sense, and it's not a lot of money. But for a person like me, I think I'll slug through it.
I don't mind the ads, especially Geico has been.
They've been hilarious.
They've been really clever.
Geico has. I don't know who. Let's find out who that is, because they just throw fire every time. Whether it's TV, YouTube, it doesn't matter. They're just super clever. And me, I kind of have an advertising background, so it's kind of like looking and keeping up with what's hot for me. Like they might be losing money on me because I do kind of enjoy the good ads, and I'll even take a look at the crappy ones and just to make sure I don't go down that road. So I guess it's the Martin Agency.
So Carlos, here's the question for you: would you pay $10 a month if you were guaranteed to get like the Stash magazine type of ads, like the killer, amazing ads that are really well done, and that like a group of people sit together and kind of edit out the crappy ads, but just give you that as your selection?
I don't know if I would.
The thing is, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say I wouldn't. I don't know if I would pay, just because I'm such a cheap bastard. But I am the kind of guy, like I do sit there and I watch the world's greatest commercials. Like
there was a statistic that was 4 out of 10 of the most viewed YouTube videos of last year were ads. So people are actively seeking out good ads. It's like that's a viewing. I mean, people would maybe even pay to watch ads.
Yeah, for the ZBrush Summit, I watched that ad, the vodka ad with the dogs with Glitch Mob. You guys know which? So I watched that a lot because I'm like, that they did some good mechanicals, hard surface animals in that. So it was really brilliant. So Carlos, what's your favorite ad? Like, what's your,
Lately, let's see. There's one that always gets me, and I can't remember.
It's not a good ad.
Oh God, no! It is. It's the ones where the cell company and the cable company are coming together.
Stephen
and the guy is standing there with a cake, and he goes, "It's gonna be fun, firing everyone."
Fred Willard, yeah.
It's those get me every time. And then like the second one, they come in and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna have breakfast on the table," and the guy's like, "That's genius. That's the kind of thinking we need around here."
That's the out of the box thinking, yeah.
All of those are they get me every time. Every time.
I like the Old Spice ads though. They still funny to me.
Those are starting to wear on me.
But then some of the new ones they've had where they have both of them, where they have Terry Crews and what's the dude's name? The other guy, Old Spice guy, in them. And
we'll call him Terry Crews and not Terry Crews.
Not Terry Crews. It's like what is it like? It's almost like the picture-in-picture where it pulls back and he's standing there at the end. I'm like, I think
those are the ones that are wearing me out. I'm dead.
But what about all time? Like, what's your favorite ad of all time? Like, what's the one that just really,
Of all time.
Ooh.
Ooh, that's a good one. One that always stands out in my brain is the Apple ad where
Right, 1984.
the 1984 is not going to be, that whole thing and just everything. Yeah, that one stands out, and it means, it's a lot. On so many different levels, I like it because it was different, and and it was like computers weren't even sexy yet. And then, the woman running with the hammer and all that stuff, and yeah, just everything was very cool, very well done. It was very cinematic.
It's just so magic. Like, the year's 1984, it's the Macintosh, it's the next generation of Apple. It's like Apple was going through all that stuff. It's Ridley Scott. I mean, it's just beautifully filmed. It's like the perfect storm. It's just,
And you have to wait till the very last second to see what it is that they're talking about. So they get you in the suspense, and you're like, what is this? Computer. Yeah. Oh, my God, that was a computer ad? Give me a cigarette.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to beat that ever. I think that's the ad to beat. It's really phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just goes to Steve Jobs' genius. I mean, the guy was, I don't know if the world has another one of him. He just did so much in one person in one lifetime. So I wonder if there'll be another person like that, anytime in our lifetime.
I'm sure there will, because forever is a really long time.
Well, I mean, in our lifetime.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's a good question, because I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are doing something similar, but aren't quite as celebrated as he was.
Right. Not as big of a pioneer.
Yeah. But I mean, you can argue, the Googles have changed technology.
Yeah.
Adobe has changed creative technology.
Yeah. ZBrush has changed technology.
Sketch Zone has completely changed the podcast arena.
Right.
Sketch Zone has changed technology.
Okay, so here's the thing. You guys had a pencil before Apple.
Yep, we sure did.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Hey.
You invented the pencil.
I'm glad I consulted with you, and you helped invent the Sketch Zone pencil.
The Sketch Zone pencil.
I think we should claim trademark infringement.
Yep, a little bit.
Hold on.
Salty about it.
Hold on, that Sketch on pencil is a lot like my Sketchbot pencil.
How dare you?
Really? He went there.
That's it. We're cutting him off. He's been drinking too much.
Have you guys had anybody on the show who was completely, who had a few to drink beforehand? That might be a fun one.
Yeah.
We should do that. Like, just, you should have like a drunk sketch zone.
That would be fun. Have you seen, who is it? I think it's BuzzFeed has the one guy. They have a guy who he'll drink like a huge glass of wine. He'll have a glass of wine, but it's like half a bottle of wine. And as he drinks, he starts going off on a topic. And the more he goes off, the drunker he gets. Absolutely brilliant. Check it. I wish I knew what it was called right offhand. I'll see if I can't find it and maybe put it on the show notes. But yeah, it's funny. So funny. He gets drunk as he's doing his video blog.
Sweet. So that's next time I'm on, I will, get a bottle of wine.
I will totally do that.
That's it. Yeah, I live in wine country, so I have a collection of bottles of wine. So you just tell me what you want. And
nice. So you're in Napa?
Sonoma.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So.
Wine country.
Yes, sir. Hashtag wino. So now that we are here, we're just past 2 hours. So if people are looking for you and your work online, Ara, where can they find you?
Just kermaco.com, kermaco.com. And I basically, that's kind of my website, and I'm going to update it soon to Squarespace. So right now it's a WordPress website, but I'm going to move it to Squarespace at some point. So that's basically, I've got my email address there, and there's links to all of my social media there as well. So if you just remember kermaco.com, you're golden.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. And Steve Tchaikovsky, if people are looking for you, where can they find you?
Sketchbot.tv, and all the social media is just my name, at Steve Tchaikovsky.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. And Charlie B. Williams, if people are looking for you, where can they find you?
Glad you asked me, Carlos. If they're looking for me, you can find me on my website at www.carloscollective.com/CharlieBWilliams. Social media, Facebook is CharlieBW3, Twitter is CBW3. And also, there's that one site called Pinterest.com, CharlieBW3. I have a lot of cool stuff there, reference stuff. Check it out. It's good stuff.
Whoa. Can I hijack this conversation for a second? So let me ask you. So Charlie, let me ask you something. So you're tagging all these images on Pinterest, right?
Right.
So does that mean that they're going to be there forever, even if the websites go away that have them?
Yes. Because sometimes you can click back on, because on Pinterest you can click back to any site. But say like when CG Hub went down, there's a lot of work that was still there. So you have it frozen in time on Pinterest, but you just can't go back to the original
website.
Right.
And you don't worry that Pinterest might go away and you might lose all of that work?
Then I have to go back to links the old school, old-fashioned way, and bookmarks. Because I still have delicious accounts and bookmarks and stuff like that too. And I still kind of bookmark things I really like, but
So if they charge you, if they say we're going to go away, or we're going to have to charge people $10 a month, would you stay on?
Shut your mouth.
Sorry.
Stop it. Don't even want to think about if I have to make that decision.
Well, I mean, they have to make money, right? So I mean, eventually it'll either be that, or they'll have to shoot ads at you. So every 10 images you pin.
Well, I think one of the things that they did do to help generate income is now you're able to shop through.
Oh, nice.
You'll be able to click on something and buy through it.
Sweet. Yeah, and both of the major browsers have adopted that whole Pinterest button. Now it's officially coming from Pinterest instead of some dude doing it. So they're kind of like Carlos said, they're in a lot of different veins now. I saw it on Amazon now too. Pinning stuff to buy later.
So if I were to find you on Pinterest, what's the link?
Pinterest.com/CharlieBW3.
I thought it was Mr. Pinterest.
No, that was an old Facebook. That was an old Facebook joke where I did it just to razz Tyrus. But yeah, CharlieBW3 on Pinterest. Find me out.
And for the record, Ara is also on there, Pinterest.com/Kermaco.
There's a lot of cool artists, guys. Find them. DaCosta's on there.
Nice.
On there.
Nice. Jack's even on there, right, Jack?
Oh, I'm on there.
Yeah, he's on there.
Speaking of Jack Kasperzak, if people are looking for you online, where can they find you?
I am at sketchbookjack.com and sketchbookjack on all the other social media handles.
Well, thank you, sir, for being here. I'm glad you had a good time on your vacation.
Welcome back. I missed you, Jack.
Oh, thanks. I missed you guys.
Made me do the sound and then yelled at me when I didn't do it right. It's horrible.
Yeah. He's lucky he's over there because we would have hit him with sticks.
Yeah.
He's horrible at sound.
Wow.
No, not nice.
And I am Carlos Gomez. You can find me online at carlosrgomez.com. You can also find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Coconut Justice.
Okay.
You can keep up to date with the Sketch Zone podcast by going to sketch.zone. While you're there, you can go ahead and submit some artwork, and if you win, you can come hang out with us too. If you're on Twitter, you can find us at SketchZone, Facebook.com/TheSketchZone. You can find us on YouTube at YouTube.com/SketchZonePodcast. You can find us on Stitcher, SoundCloud. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave a little feedback there so people can find us.
Tell me how much you like me.
Tell Charlie how much he likes him because he needs that in his life. Charles needs reinforcement. So that's it for us this week. We will see you all next week. And remember,
why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
See you guys.